What up, peoples? This is Brother Chris. Shalom to the Hebrew race, and let the righteous rebel. All praises. Okay, so we're going to get into this. I want to talk about what Trump is doing with the Space Force. Because President Trump, spend about, I think, $15 billion on the Space Force. $15 billion on the Space Force for NASA to bring their military into space. Okay? So I want to touch on this. We're going to touch on this today. And we're going to break this down as much as possible. Because there's about to be wars in heaven. This is what they fighting for. This is why the military is in space right now. There is no reason for the military to be in space when all your enemies are on the earth. Let me repeat that again. There is no reason for the military to be in space or in the heavens when all your adversaries are on the earth. Okay? So obviously they know what's going on. There's another army that's coming. There's another army that's coming that ain't from the earth. That is celestial beings. The chariots of the Most High. The armies of the Most High. Matter of fact, let's get that. The armies of the Most High. Let's go to Hebrews 22. Hebrews chapter 12:22 says, "But ye are come unto Mount Sion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn." See, this is the army that they about to fight. This is the army that they trying to fight. Okay? Donald Trump spent $15 billion off a Space Force in space for the military to operate their weapons, missiles in space. Okay? I mean, we talking about some Star Wars type of scene right here. You know what I'm saying? For the it's only been for the last, I say 40 years where they talked about cyber wars. Okay? There's a lot that's been shifting in the midst of all of these prophetic these prophetic things coming to pass in these scriptures. Okay? And so the nations know that there's a shifting coming, so they're preparing for war as well. All right? So we're going to break this thing down. So let's break.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very special moment because this is the presentation of the Space Force flag. So we've worked very hard on this, and it's so important from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, from every standpoint there is. As you know, China, Russia, perhaps others started off a lot sooner than us. We should have started this a long time ago, but we've made up for it in spades. We have developed some of the most incredible weapons anyone's ever seen.
Okay, let's go to Genesis 11. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And it reads, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make bricks. Let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had bricks for stone, and slime had they for martyr. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach to the heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. So nothing will be restrained. So we talking about the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11, right after the flood, right? Okay. Yeah, right after the flood. So they were all in one accord doing the same stuff. Okay. The Bible says that they had it got to a point where there was no restraint. All right. Let me read that again. Verse 6. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. All right. And they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. So there's nothing, they have no restraint. Okay, there's no, the Most High has set up strength of boundaries on this earth. Okay, let's go there. He set up boundaries on this earth, and we can see that in Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. Let me get there. Now notice he said we have much weapons. He said all the other nations are setting up as well. He said all the other nations setting up in space. And so everybody is setting themselves up, right? We're going to get to that too. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and we're going to read verse 8. Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, okay, the Most High did this. When he separated the sons of Adam, he separated them. Because why? In the Tower of Babel, what they did, they all came in one accord to reach to the heavens, right? To rebel against the Most High, right? This is what we're seeing right now. He says, he set the, let me read that again. Deuteronomy 32, verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel, okay, which is 12. So the Most High set boundaries all over this earth. He even told the ocean, come no further. In other words, after the Most High brought out the land in creation, he told the oceans to cease, to stop. It was a boundary. He said that the oceans don't transgress against them, right? Now, so there's boundaries on this earth that the Most High has set. In Proverbs, it also talks about the ancient landmarks, okay, shall not be removed. And so they moving these ancient landmarks that the Most High have set up on this earth by going in space, okay? And we're going to still get to that, but I just wanted to touch on that. And we can also go on Psalms, and I'm going to show you the restraint. Psalms chapter 2, verse 1. Why do the heathen rage? See, that's what they're doing right now. The heathens is raging. They enrage. And not just your high elites or presidential heathens, but also your common heathens. You know what I'm saying? This is why brothers are getting killed off on the streets, shot dead on the street like roadkill by your common police, by your common so-called white man or Chinese man or whosoever man outside of Israel. And so everybody is raging. Is especially white. It's a white rage that's going on. He says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? We seen that in Genesis 11, right? The people imagine a vain thing. The kings of the earth set themselves, okay, and the rulers take counsel together. See, that's what they're doing. They setting themselves up, now knowing that they're setting themselves up for failure, because the Most High is going to break their rulership, okay, Isaiah 14. But they're deceived, okay. The Most High put that spirit of a delusional spirit on them. He says, and the rulers take counsel together against the Most High, against the Lord. See, that's what they're doing. They're going against the Lord. This is what they're doing right now, okay? Against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, verse 3, let us break their bounds asunder and cast away their cords from us. See, that's restraint. That's restraint. They want to take off the boundaries, the restraint. They want to break the restraint so they can do what they must, do what they want. Okay? But the Bible says that they're imagining a vain thing. So them going up to space, you know what I'm saying? Even though there's a as the Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, there's a firmament that's covers like a bowl. It's like a glass that you can't pass. But nevertheless, it's still in the first heavens. The first heavens still has access, which is kind of towards the moon and all the areas that you can physically see from the earth. Okay? So let's keep going.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Armageddon preparations has always been mentioned among the nations. Joel 3:11.
And it's moving along very rapidly, and we have tremendous people in charge. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to just start by asking some of those folks to say a few words and the importance strategically, militarily, and even from a pure civilian standpoint, and from bringing our economy back. Everything is going to help so much, all made right here in the USA. And it's going to be very special, very important. Space Force, first time in 72 years plus that we've opened up a new branch of the United States military. And Mark, maybe I'll start with you. You'll say a few words, please.
Yes, sir. Let me just say it's a very historic moment. The United States has been a spacefaring nation for decades. But we know that our adversaries in the last several years have weaponized space. They've made it a warfighting domain. And so with the establishment of Space Force and the establishment of Space Command, the United States is now doing what it needs to do to protect our assets in space and to ensure that space remains the heavens by which we not only protect America, but we sustain our economy, we sustain our commercial capabilities, we sustain Americans' way of life. So again, another very historic moment. I'm confident that both the Space Force and the Space Command will do what is necessary to defend us in space and to keep America great.
Thank you very much, Mark. Great job you're doing, too. General Milley, please.
Sir, thank you, Mr. President. And as the Secretary said, this is a historic day. Some time ago, we made a decision to establish the Space Force. And that's because we're undergoing a changing character of war, which is of historic importance for all nations. And as part of that, the space part of our universe opened up as a domain of warfare. And it's first opened up as a domain of warfare. And it's
Man, let the devil be exposed. He said that a part of our universe opened up as a domain of warfare. See? He's saying the universe opened up. A part of the universe opened up. Okay? So they can position themselves. Okay? So let's touch on Revelations 19. We're going to touch on this real quick. Revelations 19 verse 11. Because he said that a part of the universe opened up as a domain of warfare, meaning to fight, war. Okay? So let's go to Revelations 19, verse 11. Okay? And it says, and I saw heaven opened up. Oh. And I saw heaven opened up. The Bible just said it. And I saw heaven opened up. And behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he do judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. All these crowns represents every kingdom and rulership of these nations. When the Most High comes, when his son comes and destroys these nations that's in power, he's going to take all their authority, their crowns. That's what the seven-headed dragon with the 10 crowns upon his heads. Okay? Seven-headed dragon with the 10 crowns upon their heads, or the 7 crowns, whatsoever. This is what the Lord's coming back for, to establish his kingdom. So when he said that the heavens is open, or the part of the universe as a domain of warfare, he let you know there and then that they're getting ready or gearing up for the Most High's true battle of warfare against these nations. Let's go. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a garment dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yah. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Now let us examine this image right here. You got the Son of the Most High clothed in garments that's dipped in blood, who has crowns all over his head, with the armies of heaven behind him. Now I gotta raise a quick question. How did the Christ get blood all over his garments and crowns on his heads? Well, let's go to Isaiah 63, excuse me. Isaiah 63. Because we want to find out how we get blood on his garments, okay? And crowns upon his head. So let's get into it. Isaiah 63, verse 1. Who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? See, Basra is the capital of Edom. Okay? So he says, so Isaiah is raising the question. He says, who is this that's coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra, which is the capital of Edom? Okay? Now he ain't talking about that geographical location no more. Okay? He's not talking about that. Just like he wasn't talking about Egypt when he was referring to Egypt in Deuteronomy 28:68. He was talking about a spiritual Egypt, okay, which we know is America. So now we know that Esau, he says, verse 61 says, or 63 verse 1 says, who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Okay, this that is glorious in his appeal. He's talking about the Christ, traveling in the greatness of his strength, that I speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So we're going to stop right there. We're going to go to Matthew 24, because he said he's traveling in his great strength. Okay, so go to Matthew 24 real quick. And in Matthew 24, verse 27 says, for as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So the Lord is moving like lightning. Okay, the Lord is moving faster than lightning in his work of doing damage, in his work of destruction. Okay, so let's go back to Isaiah 63 again, and we're going to read that again. He says, verse 1, who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments? Okay, from Bezalel. This that is glorious in his appeal. Look at this. Traveling in the greatness of his strength, moving like lightning. That I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Verse 2. Wherefore art thou red in thy appeal? See, this where he's got his bloody garments, and thy garments like him that trades on the winepress. Verse 3. I have trodden the winepress alone. Hold up. Revelations 19 said he was with armies of heaven. Okay? So this is before the last Armageddon hit or fight or battle. He's going to deal with Edom, Esau. Let's read that again. I have trodden the winepress alone. Of the people there was none with me. For I will trade them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my garments. For the day of vengeance is at my heart, or is in my heart, excuse me, and the year of my redeem is come. So when we looking at Revelations 19, when the Lord comes with his armies, he's going to handle his business alone first. And he's going to handle his business with Esau, Edom. Edom is wrong. Okay? So this is why his garments was bloody. And as Revelations 12 says about the red dragon with his crowns, still dealing with the same people. Okay, so the Lord got a personal indignation with Edom that he's going to address. Okay, so let's keep pushing.
Hold that up so they can see. That's really beautiful. Wow. That's a big day. That's a big day.
Can somebody explain the logo?
General Raymond?
Jake, so the delta in the middle is a symbol that the space community's used for years and years and years. The North Star signifies our core value, our guiding light, if you will. And the orbit signifies our core value, our guiding light, if you will. And the orbit...
So he said that the North Star, which is on the flag, represents the guiding light. Okay, so let's break down what he's saying in scriptures. He said the North Star, one of the symbols on there, which is the delta, which represents the North Star, guiding light. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 14 real quick. Let's go to Isaiah 14 real quick. Okay, Isaiah 14 verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? What'd he say? North Star, son, which is a guiding light. He says, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Now we know that the so-called Americas, which is Great Babylon, has shaken or weakened the nations. Every nation is weak. That's what makes them powerful. He says, verse 13, for thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Now, I mean, he just said one of the symbols, the delta star, or the delta represents the North Star, which is the guiding light, Luciferian light, that is. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. See, what we're looking at right now is the Most High is gearing up not only for battle, but for deliverance of his peoples. Okay? Go with me to Acts real quick. And I'm going to cut it short. But go with me to Acts. Acts 1. Because this is how the Lord's coming. When I say he's coming with chariots, perfect example is when Elijah got caught in the whirlwind and was sent up. Okay? Now look at this in Acts chapter 1. Go to Acts chapter 1, verse 9. Acts chapter 1, verse 9. And when he, meaning Christ, has spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up. So this is around his resurrection and ascension to the Father. And a cloud received him out of their sight. And when they looked steadily towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So the Lord, as he came, as he left, he's coming back on Mount Zion, okay, and he's coming in chariots. When the Bible says that a cloud received him, he's talking chariots. He's talking what the earth or what the society called UFOs, unidentified objects, are really the Most High's chariots. Okay, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah chapter 4. We're gonna see that the Lord. These are the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High, and many of our brothers and sisters have talked about it on many levels. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 4:13. Let's read. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. That's what they're going to scream out. Woe unto us when they see these chariots all over the earth, all over the sky. They already seen unidentified objects, all UFOs all over Russia. Russia said that they looked up in the sky and they seen several. Okay, they seen several of them, and they don't know what's going on. Okay, and we can also go into Ezekiel, and Ezekiel talked about it as well. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 1. Ezekiel chapter 1, and I'm gonna cut it short far as with this video. Okay, Ezekiel chapter 1 says this. We're gonna move down to verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind, there go the whirlwind again, came out of the north, talking about the sky, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. See, if you ever seen some of these movies like Independence Day, where it was tons of clouds forming, and then that spaceship appeared, it's gonna be just like that. And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof are as the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. Okay, that's what it looked like. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 feet, and their feet was straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass meaning burnt brass, like the color of Christ in Revelations. Verse 8, and they had the hands of a man under their wings. So he's describing the creatures, what the earth calls creatures. Okay, these are the angels of the Most High. Let's go to verse 22. He says, and the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures. See, the firmament was above the head, so they was in the earth, or they was in the rim of the first heaven. Okay, he says that the firmament was above their heads. Okay, so I mean, it's all in the scriptures that deliverance is coming. Okay, deliverance is coming, and the Most High and his host, General Assembly, is on his way to do two things: destroy and bring deliverance unto his people. So we can cut it short right there. Okay, and I hope you got some edification out of this truth. And like I always say, watch and pray, and let the righteous rebel.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.